and welcome to the 7th episode of Down the Hobbit Hole. Today is Wednesday, May the 3rd, 2017, and my name is Emily, and this is my weekly podcast about knitting, spinning, and all things making. So, first, before we get started, I wanted to thank Amanda from We Are Yarn podcast. She mentioned my podcast, and she mentioned my podcast, actually I think it was 2 episodes ago, and it was very nice of her. Thank you so much. And if you haven't checked out her podcast, you definitely should. It's a lot of fun to watch. And she actually lives really close to me, and if you've been watching, you know that I ran into her at the store and acted like a crazy person. So yeah, I'll leave a link down in the description below. Once again, we are outside on the property. We've got about 5 acres out front with the house, so I'm in the back 9, I guess. This tree line behind me is actually a hill, and the house is back there. When I first came down here, I actually forgot to bring all of my knitting. I brought everything for the shop update. I brought my blanket, I brought my tripod, I brought my dog and his toy, everything but the knitting, which is the whole point of the podcast. So I did all of that already, and I'm just gonna cut these together so that that's at the end. So I went back to the house, had some fish sticks for lunch, and actually more like supper, because I first got down here at about 3 and it's 6:10, so I'm having a slow day of it. It's okay. Tim and I, we woke up at like 10. We never do that. We're usually out of bed by like 8:30 at the latest. Typically it's more like 7, maybe 6:30. But I was up until about 1 because he was working late, and he got home at about like 3 in the morning. So we slept in, and I had a nice slow start to the morning, and so did he. So I got down here, I got everything set up, realized I forgot everything, did the first recording, went back up, had lunch, came back down here, remembered the knitting, but forgot my shirt. So I was just in a tank top. So I had to run back up there, and I forgot to go to the restroom before coming down, and I didn't want to go in the woods. So, not that you needed to know any of that really, but if I'm speaking in the wrong tense throughout the video, that'll help explain it. If you'd like to find us online, you can find us on Instagram as MistyMountMakers, and we are on Ravelry as MistyMountMakers. We have a Ravelry group called Down the Hobbit Hole, and you can find it just by searching in the groups tab, or you can find links to all of that down below. And we will be having a cow coming up. It's actually starting in 4 days. I don't know why I have to keep checking the date. I've said it quite a few times at this point, but we will be having our There and Back Again cow. So I hope everyone's picked out some projects. I've been putting some into the group bundle so people can see. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to make yet, but I am definitely going to cast it on. Maybe I'll have a little cast on party and cast on a couple items, or just one big item. But for the cow, it's called the There and Back Again cow. It will be Tolkien themed, but really just more specifically anything Middle Earth. So don't feel like you're restricted to any particular book. Being inspired by the movies is fine too. What we're going to do is on May 7th, we are going to start, that's when the knitting will begin, and it'll go for 3 months. And we are going to knit Tolkien themed projects. And I've got a bundle going in the group, so take a look, add to it if you want to, and we will be working on those for 3 months while at the same time tracking our movement And what that means is if you have a Fitbit like me, you just track your miles, or if you want to use like your phone, there are tons of apps out there where you can just pretty much have a pedometer going in the background. And or if you do spin classes, or you walk on a treadmill, or you do laps around your building at work, or you ride your bike, you ride your unicycle, however you move. Driving is excluded, so no driving, but just keep track of your mileage. And what we're going to do is, at the end of it, we'll have a finished objects thread open for the entirety of the 3 months. Whips are welcome. Just make sure you have some work left to do on them. I do ask, I said 50 grams before, but let's try to be on the honor system. Make sure your project isn't just like a little leaf of Lorian, because we've got 3 months. If you want to make Lorian leaves and you want to make smaller projects, you can. Just try to maybe group them into one entry, because you're welcome to enter as many times as you want, but try to, my neighbor got home, try to keep things fair, and down, yeah, just try to keep things fair for people who are knitting sweaters. So I'm looking at around the 50 gram mark, but I'm not going to heavily police this. I'm going to trust you guys. But whips are welcome, and you can enter throughout the whole of the 3 months. And at the end of the 3 months, I will close the finished objects thread, and then I will open a final mileage thread that'll be open for a few weeks. So everyone will be able to enter how far they've gone in Middle Earth. And probably I should just make a video listing all the rules, because and I think I will, but I'll finish talking here. So I'll have a separate video for this soon, before next week's episode, probably before the cow starts. But what we'll do is there's a website, and the project was called the Aowen Challenge, and they worked with the woman who wrote the Atlas of Middle Earth to figure out the mileage that they traveled from Bag End to Mordor and back, and then to the Grey Havens. So we can kind of move as much as we can, see how far we get into Middle Earth, and that'll be in the final mileage thread. So, and we'll talk about it in the chatter group too. But once that final mileage thread comes up, everyone gets one post, and you just post how far you got. Maybe for fun, talk about where you were moving. Like maybe I'll show some pictures of the track that I run around the property, and or just mark where that puts you in Middle Earth, and we can have a lot of fun with that. So we'll have prizes for the chatter thread, the finished objects thread, and for the final mileage thread. And I've already got a few prizes that have come in, and I will mention those in the video for the cow, and I'll have it posted either on the day of the cow or hopefully before. And yeah, I'm really hoping that I get some people joining along. We've been having some fun talking about the rules and everything in the brainstorming thread, so hopefully we'll have a lot of involvement, and that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, on to the knitting. So, hi Tesla. Do you want to come over here? You want to sit back down? Don't step on that, you doof. Nope. Oh, that's Tesla. Okay. So, this week we have a pretty much finished object. So, yay! You may notice that the sleeves are finished. Yeah. I'm not wearing it because It's like 80 degrees. You can tell by Tesla. He's not even running. It's really hot out here. Luckily it's nice and overcast now. But it's finished. I'm super excited because Tanya of the Hooked on Ink Blobs podcast was talking about she was inspired to work on some mama vertebrae, and she did down. You don't need to be running around anymore. He's eating all of the grass in the field, which he doesn't need to do. So she's been working on some, thank you Tesla, some mama vertebrae, and I was afraid that she was gonna finish all of hers before I even finished my one that I started months ago. But this morning I sat down and finished it, and I'm very happy. The fit is a little weird, but it hasn't been blocked yet. So I'm gonna block it. I'm gonna be really aggressive with it. It sits the way that it's supposed to, but it almost seems baggy, like right here. I'm not sure how I can fix that with blocking. Maybe just kind of pulling it forward more. I'm not sure. I'll see what I can do. This will be my second time blocking a cardigan, so, but here it is. Yee! That probably didn't help you look at it, but here's the back. And this is the Sun Fingers colorway. Now this is on a discontinued base that I had before. It was 100% Polworth. So I have it, and you'll see this later. I'll have some of this same colorway, but instead of being in DK weight, it's going to be in a sport. And it's 75% BFL and 25% silk, which is beautiful. Very happy with that. Not the point of this though. So, on a works in progress, my Hermione's Everyday Socks. They are still missing. I had a battle with a very large spider in my office. I say my office, it's my fiber room. I had a battle with a very large spider. Like, the body was probably the size of that, and that's about like 1.25 inches. So I've been afraid to like pick anything up, and it's rather messy in there. So I'm sure it's in there, and that's my plan, is to work on it soon. So hopefully I'll have my Hermione's Everyday Socks out and about soon. But I have Tim's socks, and I've done another inch. So if I keep this up, I should have his socks done within a few weeks, months, something. I should have them done for him soon. Not that he's going to wear them in summer. He's very warm-blooded, and I feel like he would explode if he tried to wear wool socks in the summer. So these are definitely a winter gift, but they're coming out really nice, and I really like just walking around and working on them. There we go. And the only other thing that I'm working on right now is my I hope my neighbors aren't out. I can hear someone using a circular saw. I don't want them to hear me doing this because I feel like a crazy person sitting out in a field with a tripod. But here is the hat that I'm working on, and unfortunately while I'm out here I can't exactly see what you're seeing because I don't have my TV in the background showing me, so I'm going to try to, So it's just a really cute beanie that has a big floral motif coming down from the top, and I am knitting it in Knit Picks Capra DK. Now the pattern actually calls for worsted, or no, it calls for Aran weight, but I've done it in a Cascade 220, which is a really light worsted, and there are people who have, I looked through the projects and they've done the hat in DK without any problems. And it's got all that ribbing, so it's nice and stretchy. But I've cast it on using these adorable teeny tiny needles. Oh, and this is the wine color, which was on the front, so you already saw that. And it's, gosh, 85% merino and 15% cashmere. It's very soft. And here's how far I've gotten so far. Not very far, it's just the first 10 rounds. So I'm about to start the lace detailing, which is why I'm not working on it right now, even though I'd really like to be. Once I cast off the mama vertebrae this morning, I cast this on and started working on it. I still have to weave in ends on the mama vertebrae, so it's technically not done, but it's done. I will get that finished. But that's what I'm working on, and I'm hoping it's already the 3rd. Yeah, it's already the 3rd. So I'm hoping that I didn't lose my dog. Tesla. What are you doing? I'm hoping that I will get that finished before the middle of May so that I can enter it into Gabby's Once Upon a Corgi podcast. Gabby's having a knit-along for Beauty and the Beast. So I'm doing it in that nice dark red, and I will be, it's inspired by the Enchanted Rose, so that's how I'm gonna submit my entry. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but I feel like I think I have like 12 days to get it finished, and hopefully I will. I feel like the time frame is short enough to where I'm feeling really motivated to work on it and to get it done, but not so long that I feel like it's dragging, because if the time frame is too long, then I feel like it's just this obligation hanging over me, and I never want to work on it. Ooh. Just gonna move this now so that I can work on it. Okay, and then now that I've gotten that ready to knit with it, I'm gonna use my hands for something else. At the Fiber Festival, there's this, there was a woman who had a booth next to me. Her name's Victoria, and I'll leave a link down below to her information. And she makes project bags, and she also does some beautiful crocheted lace, and she does a type of weaving that I still have not been able to pronounce. I believe it's Japanese, and it has like a donut that you work on, and you're just moving spools of yarn around. It's very cool, and we got, you can use it for a lot more than shoelaces, but we bought some shoelaces for Tim, and he loves them. She has project bags, and she weaves the bands for them. They're a drawstring, and they're like hexagonally shaped. Some are pentagons on the bottom, and then each side is a pocket, and there are pockets inside as well. So it's a big project bag. And we worked out a deal where I'm trading some of my bats, and she's trading a project bag, and she's letting me pick my fabric. I have until the 11th. That's when I'm going to go bring this to her. And I think I went to Hobby Lobby, and our Hobby Lobby, like, it doesn't have a huge fabric selection, and it's not that big to begin with. I'm not sure. It might be big for a Hobby Lobby, but they don't have a large fabric selection. So I got a couple fabrics, and I was only going to need a yard or less of each. There's a contrasting color and the outer fabric. So I picked up a couple, and I'm gonna take them with me to Joann's so I can, because I'll be in Knoxville on Saturday, to see if I can find something to go with it. But for lining fabrics, I think everything I bought today, except for one, would work as a lining fabric, but I couldn't find anything to go with them. The first one is this wood grain fabric, and it's just a nice white and gray. I really like this, but I haven't been able to find anything to pair with it. This is the one that I really want. This is the one that I really want to work, and it's maps. And see, it's got like the map of the world, and it's got the star and the ships, anchors, and it's all very nautical. But it's so light, and it would work really well as the contrasting fabric for the background. And I also got, it's pink, which I am not a pink person most of the time, but it's like a pink marble with a metallic gold swirl. So I think, and Knoxville is known for lots of pink marble mining back in the day, and there's an old marble mine in our neighborhood. You just see these big boulders out there. Nobody's doing anything with it. But I thought that this one, and these are the only 4 that I got, but I really like these. This is just a darker version of that same map fabric. What I think I might do is keep both of these and then make myself a zippered pouch, kind of like my Twist Fiber Studio bag, like a little box bottom bag, and it would be the blue on the outside but with the pink and swirls on the inside, and have like a canvas base to it, because I've got canvas and I've got these, but they also have a canvas that has metallic gold polka dots on it. So these I'm going to probably turn into my own bag, but these. So hopefully I'll be able to find a fabric, and I should be able to show you guys what I end up with next week. We'll see what I'm able to find at Hobby Lobby. Tesla's trotting around. He keeps hearing noises. A lot of times I think it's just birds, because they pop into the leaves and the pine needles and they just dig around and they make a ton of noise. And Tesla loves trying to chase birds, and he's never caught one, and I don't think he's ever going to. But he's very happily just watching them. Oh, and I have 2 more items. I guess I shouldn't have gotten distracted by my fabric. I have 2 more items that I'm working on that are spinning related. Here's the first one. Now this is what I was spinning at the Fiber Festival, and I didn't want anything that was going to be too much work or need any focus. So I was spinning up my scraps from different bats that I had made, and I really like the way this turned out, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure about plying. I definitely spun it to be plied. It's got a lot of twist in it, but I'm not sure if I want to. I'm thinking about spinning some Firestar, just plain on its own, into a nice thin ply that's slightly thinner than this is, and then just doing a 2-ply, but I'm not sure. I think I might just accept the short yardage and 2-ply it, and I've got a lot of 2-plies that are lingering around in my stash, and this is kind of my standard weight. Well, it's a little thicker than my normal weight, partially because of the silk noils that are in it. but also because of I was trying to spin it just a little bit thicker, but I've got so many 2-plies in my hand spun stash that I might be able to either weave something or knit something with them. I usually prefer scrappy woven projects. Because if I were to do like a scrap blanket, I know I wouldn't finish it, even though I bought needles for it. They were on clearance. I bought some cubics to do Mina's pinwheel blanket, but I think if I ever started one, I wouldn't finish it, and I'd end up like making a scrap blanket made out of bits of scrap blankets that I had started. I feel like that's where I'd end up. And I'm still working on this guy. I show this later in the video where you can actually see it a little better, but there was like a hornworm climbing on it. And you can see pretty well, but I'm out in a field full of, I think the white flowers are showing up, but I'm not sure if you can see the yellow flowers. It's much calmer now, but it was full of bumblebees earlier, and you will see that later. But Tesla's just been throwing himself through all the reeds. Reeds? The taller weeds. Now I've got that woven scrap idea stuck in my head. I know Katie from Inside Number 23, she had a scrap blanket made from the scraps of her projects that was woven for her by, I don't remember who, it was woven by someone, and that was gorgeous, but I'm thinking this is going to be more of little itty bitties. Yeah, I'll have to have my friend come over. My friend Madeline is very good with looms, and she is the reason I've woven anything on my loom. She helped me warp it, and hopefully I'll get her to come over and help me warp it again, because I'm not very good at it. I think I created a warp. I don't have a warping board, so I had a bench for our old kitchen table that I just kind of knocked over, and it had 6 pegs, or 6 legs, and so I was trying to like wrap it on there, but all the legs were tapered, and you could hear it like groaning because it was an antique that we got, and it was in no way there. It was in no way happy about being a warping board. So I might try weaving something on that, but it doesn't have very many ends. We'll see. Yeah. That's all the yarn that I've been working on. I am working to assemble patterns in the Ravelry group. So we have a bundle, and it is for Tolkien-inspired patterns. And when you go into the group, which we have a group, by the way, in Ravelry, it's down the Hobbit hole, and if you look across the top, once you're in the group, there's one that says bundles, and I'm adding patterns to it, and you are more than welcome to add patterns to it as well. All you have to do, the easiest way I found to do it, is to create a bundle for yourself, like a personal bundle, and fill it up with all the patterns that are Tolkien related, and then go into the bundle, and there's like an add to bundle button that you click on, and it has a little drop down and gives you options on how to add to it. And honestly, it's pretty fussy, but if you add from your own bundle, you can just check boxes and add them in, and it's easy peasy. They all pop right in, and that way everyone has somewhere they can go to for our there and back again cow. But I think that's all for knitting related items. So next we will be getting into shop update and the not so nitty portion. So I'm gonna take things back to earlier today when I was so devastated when I realized I had forgotten everything else. So here we go, back in time. Right, Tesla? He's all about time travel. So for this week's shop update, I have stuff from, I've actually been taking the last week pretty slow, but I have stuff from the show that hasn't been listed yet. So, or from the festival. So here we go. First item, and you may recognize this colorway. It's Sunfingers, and it's what I'm using for my cardigan, my mama vertebrae, that you will have seen, depending on how I edit this, at the beginning, possibly. So here's this one, and this is on Halfling. I have 3 of these, and it's just a nice charcoaly gray, and it's kind of a tonal gray, so there's some charcoal, there's some lighter gray, with just this really bright burst of yellow. And so you'll get multiple stitches, so you'll get little streaks of color in the gray. And 3 of these. I also have, there we go, 3 of these, and I am really in love with this colorway. This one's called Fairyland, and it's got teal with pink and purple, blues, and pinks speckled on the skein. It's so pretty. I've got 3 of those. Now these were originally, I had some pink dye left over in the dye pot from making, I don't remember which colorway, but I had pink left over. And so I dipped the skeins in there and just kind of exhausted the dye pot, because I always try to make sure that if water's going down the drain or if I dump it outside, that it's been, that all the dye that I can has been pulled out of the water, even if that just means tossing in a piece of wool. So I got this really pretty light pink. I added this like aquamarine color on the end and speckled it in, so now I just need to figure out how to make this repeatable, because it's definitely coming back. But 3 of those. Those are also on Halfling. And I have 2 of Fairy Circle, and this one is greens and brown speckling, and dark green speckling, so kind of a nice mix. Sorry. We've been hearing when we first came down here, we heard the deer kind of trample up into I assume it was the deer. The only other creature I've seen around lately is the turkey, who's been strutting his stuff around. Not the point. 2 of Fairy Circle on Halfling. And the last one we have for Halfling is, there we go. And actually, I think I showed you this one already, but it doesn't have a listing, so here we go. And this is April Showers, and this has the micro stripes of the sky blue with this white section that's got lots of gray tones and gray speckles and blue speckles all through there. So if you make socks with it, it'll micro stripe. And we've got the one skein there. And then for Elven, oh, and Halfling is our, it's 75% superwash Corriedale wool and 25% nylon, and you're getting 4 ounces. And then Elvin is also 4 ounces, and it's 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 10% tencel. I could have checked the label, but I should be able to say that right off the top of my head. And this is how Fairy Circle turned out on that one, and it's much lighter, much more subdued, but still very pretty. Much calmer. I like this one too. And these will be coming back as well on both bases. And then this is a base that I got a little while ago, and I only have, I have the 3 skeins of it. And the first one, here we go, is Sour Apple. And it is just a really bright, like acidic green with, and it's tonal, so you've got some like yellow green spots, some Granny Smith. It gets darker, a little more piney. You can kind of see the colors in there. So it's not going to knit up as just a solid green, but it's so pretty. Oh yeah? I don't know if you guys could hear that, but Tesla's been eating a lot of grass and gave it back to the earth. Alright, anyways, and then I have 2 of Sunfingers, and this is 75% BFL with 25% silk, so it's gorgeous. It's got a really nice luster to it, because not only are you getting that from the silk, but the BFL itself has a lot of nice luster in it. So here's this, and it's Sunfingers, so it's got that bright yellow, and 2 of those. And these are all, let's see, there we go, 250 grams. So you're going to have, it's 8.8 ounces, so you're getting about 727 yards, which is really nice. My Mama Vertebrae, which I showed earlier, was made using a skein of similar size. And this is a sport weight, but it's a huge skein, and it's really nice to work with. And then the last items that I have are these guys. And these are, it's a panda top, and it's mostly white, but it has sorry about that. It's mostly white, but it has pink, purple, and blue blotches on it. So it's going to make a really neat yarn once it's finished, and you can see, it's hard to show on the camera, but it's got that bamboo streaked throughout it. And in case you're not familiar with Panda Top, it's 60% superwash wool, 30% bamboo, and 10% nylon. So it would make a nice sock if you wanted to spin for socks. And they're 4-ounce braids. Ah, hello. I think this might be a hornworm, which is problematic because they can't have my tomatoes. But check out this little guy. He's trying to blend in with my yarn. Nobody's fooled. He's living far enough away from my garden that I don't mind him. I have nothing against them, really, except that they can eat an entire tomato plant in like a night. Given that I like my tomatoes, that's unacceptable. So anyways, those are the items for the shop update. So we'll have those coming up soon. And that'll be tomorrow, which will be Thursday, May 4th at 6 p.m. And yeah. And I'm out here today with my watered down white cranberry peach juice. It's like a fruit cocktail. It's really sugary, so that's why I have so much water in it. And it's in my husband's, he works for Local Motors over in Knoxville at the micro factory, and he has, it's actually electric and gas. He's got a Chevy Volt, but they all had stickers. It's terrible. But yeah, since they're I don't want to climb back up just yet to go get my projects, so I'll go ahead and do life stuff now. So, or the not so nitty portion. Since the festival, Tim and I have been kind of trying to relax. Things are still pretty busy for him at work, but everything's going really well. Excuse me, sir. Tesla, come over here. Ooh. Slap down. Oh, beautiful Tesla. Since the festival, I've been taking it pretty easy, doing a lot of catch-up as far as bookkeeping and things like that, so I should say I've been taking it easy as far as dyeing goes. We've still got things heading to the shop. Things have been going really well, even though they've been really hectic for Tim at work, and so hopefully he'll be able to come home soon. We can build the coops and then he can relax for the rest of the weekend because he really needs it. But the chickens have been kind of, I took a small bookshelf that I had from when I worked at Michael's. It actually held the giant letters that they sell each spring when they've got like the bare woods. That they have like a whole aisle of unpainted wood and chalkboards and stuff. So I had that whole display. I knocked it over and used a saw to open up a space so that the chicks could run back and forth. Took a pallet, threaded a bunch of like that thick hemp type rope all around it so that they couldn't get out. And, well, I thought they couldn't get out, and I just put the pallet on top. They had a plastic lid over one section, and the reason I had to do this is because the boys have been separated into two coops, or two brooders, and he's going to disappear into the mists, and he's gone. I separated the boys into two brooders so that, sorry, it's not very comfortable sitting like that. I separated the boys into two brooders because they were way too big to be in one on their own. And I was like, well, I've got the coop, you know, everything's fine. So I split them out. So now I've got the hens, since their coop melted, they are living in this new brooder, and I thought I was so clever. I was like, I got the plastic lid over this section, so they're gonna go in there. That's where they'll sleep at night, and got this pallet on top. They'll get plenty of fresh air, And I got out of the shower this morning, and Hendetta was waiting for me, just hanging out in the bathroom. Well, we've got like the bedroom, the area with the sink and the closet, and then into the actual portion with like the shower and the toilet. And yeah, Hendetta was just hanging out, and the cat looked like he had no idea what was going on. He's just staring at the chicken, trying to figure out what he's supposed to do. So luckily his predatory instincts didn't come in. Hendetta just walked and ran into the bathroom right past me, so she was pretty easy to catch. She just kind of crouched down by the toilet. But I went back and I couldn't figure out how she'd done it. I thought maybe I'd left a little gap. And then I get over there again, and this is hours later, like just before I came out here, and I see Foghorn, and I feel like such a dope. I saw Foghorn sitting on top of the food container, just her whole upper body just hanging out outside of the pallet, and I was like, oh, okay, then that makes sense, because the feet are pretty much touching, almost touching the pallet, and so is the waterer, and I thought that it would be close enough that they wouldn't be able to hop up, but nope, they were fine. And I'm surprised we didn't have hens all around the house last night. But anyways, so I've adjusted it, made it so that they can't just come running out whenever, and hopefully this weekend we will have that new coop. We need to find the time to make it. And oh, as far as poultry goes, we have a new resident on the property. Sorry, I thought I heard him. His name is Gaston. He is a turkey who every morning comes out of the woods between the house and my garden, so he's basically coming out on the driveway. He struts by, does not care that we're there whatsoever. I don't think I've ever seen him go above like a trot. And he just comes out, struts his stuff, walks down to the apple trees, then back to the side pasture and up, and we can hear him in these woods behind me. If you keep going up, it's a hill. Keep going up, the house is right over there. So it's not that far away, but it's not an easy walk. It's all overgrown, and there's probably copperheads in there. But he just circles. He comes out over there, walks all the way around, and then comes back down here. We can hear him gobbling throughout the afternoon, just at different points in the property. I've never seen him pluff up and like put up his tail, but he's a slick little guy, and he definitely struts. There's no question about that. He's very full of himself, and I wonder what he's going to do when I get the girls outside. He's probably just going to gobble at them and strut away like he's the best thing ever. I learned from Amanda of the We Are Yarn podcast that there is a knitting group that meets at Sundays, meets on Sundays at my local coffee shop. It's not that local anymore. It was walking distance from my last rental. Now we're about 30 minutes away, but I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow, or not tomorrow, today's Wednesday. I'm gonna go check it out this weekend, and I'm gonna have a very busy weekend because Saturday, and it depends. If Tim's home, if Tim's not working the whole weekend, then I probably won't do all of it, but if he is working, then I'd have to keep myself busy. I have got my spinning guild meeting. And if anybody in the local area, or anyone in the Knoxville area, I should say, East Tennessee is pretty broad. So if you're in the Knoxville area, we meet on Middlebrook Pike. I'll put a link to our website down below, and it's got all the information. It's the first Saturday of each month, unless there's a conflict. We meet at there's a really big church there that has like spare rooms that you can rent. So the guild rents a room from the church in order to have the meetings. So I'll leave a link down below. It'll give you directions and everything. But I'll have that in the morning. And then after that, I'm driving over into Townsend, because the same place where we had the festival, the Smoky Mountain Fiber Arts Festival, they're doing a pottery festival. And I'm probably not going to be able to get anything, but I love pottery. So I'm going to go check it out. I spoke to a very nice woman at the festival who was trying to find out things that she could make for knitters and spinners, made like actual pottery items. So we had a lot of fun speaking with her, and hopefully I'll be able to see her again. And so that's Saturday, those two things. And then on Sunday, I can go to the coffee shop, see Amanda if she's able to make it this week, and hang out with them and do some knitting, and then head over to Lenore City. Where we've got the Knoxville Knit and Crochet group, which meets in different areas around Knoxville and just outside of it. We're doing a knitting picnic, which will be a lot of fun. So I get to pack a lunch and go, probably, since I'll be over there. I might pick something up, because I'll either prep it ahead of time, stop by home on my way to Lenore City and grab it, or maybe I'll go by Barley's or the pie place. I think the pie place is closed on Sundays. I might pick something up on the way, is the point. But it should be a really fun weekend. So if anybody's in the Knoxville area and you know of other events going on, yarn and fiber wise, or pottery, or whatever, please let me know so I can go. Alright guys, so Tesla and I are back home, and I wanted to talk about books real quick. So I've gone through about 5 or 6 books since the last episode, and I feel like that trend is not going to change, because I've been listening to so many books just free through the library, so many audiobooks. So instead of rattling on about that forever on the podcast, I'm starting and I will still talk about books here and there on the podcast, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a thread, and I will post the books that I'm working on, or the books that I've read, and just every time I finish a book, I'll write a little mini review there. And if you have, if you've read one of the books that I've read, and you have something you want to say about it, or if you've been reading something and you want to leave a review on there, go ahead. I'd love to hear what you guys are listening to, what you guys are reading. It'll help me find more books, and it might help other people find more books too. So that'll be fun, and hopefully that's something we can kind of all do together going forward. I should have that thread up before this video is posted, but definitely by this weekend. So, yeah. But I think that's the end of the podcast. So, thank you all for sticking through this with me. I know it's been a little all over the place since I left the first load of projects back at the house. But it's been a lot of fun. I think I might be doing them outside more often. I just need to get more prepared for that. But if this is your first time watching, I hope you liked it. And for everyone else, thank you so much for coming back. And thank you, Tesla, for one last noise before the end. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Happy making! I don't know what I'm hearing, but it sounds pretty weird. It sounds like there's some robotic, like some weird dwarven machinery going on in the background. Ooh. No. hiked all the way out here and I forgot the project that I'm actually working on right now. I can't believe I did that.